Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff, First Impressions Day today, and today we've got a wooden kit. We are looking at this, the Elidir from Constructo. Yes, hello everyone, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. My name is Jason. If you're new to the channel, a big welcome. We are looking at this today. This is a kit review, what I call a first impressions of the Elidir, which is a 1:26 scale wooden construction kit from Constructo. Now this is this sort of, it says River Thames steamboat, but it's also the sort of thing that I've seen on Lake Windermere in the Lake District. So quite a popular Victorian style craft, and I was looking for something along these lines. So yeah, very nice little steam river boat. So I thought this would be a nice little subject to tackle one day. I've had this in my stash for quite some time, and I don't remember what's in the box. I'm sure I must have had a quick route round when I first got it, but I couldn't tell you what's in here. What we do have on the front of the box cover is a nice depiction of the completed model, which is nice to see, and she does look lovely. Being 1:26 scale, it's going to be really quite easy to do any modifications, should we wish to. It does depict the steam engine. We've got a little cabin there with, I noticed there's curtains in there, and we've got cloth on the back, lots of brass components, so it does look rather nice. It tells us we've got a wooden kit. The packaging itself, it's a corrugated bottom with a flimsy lid, so you do have to be careful with storing it. When I look on the sides, it tells us lots of things that aren't in English, so I'm not quite sure. It looks like Spanish to me, but I might be wrong. I don't know what country Constructo comes from, but it does say all fittings are wood and brass. Then it gives us some dimensions. So we've got a length of 46 centimeters, so under half a meter, a height of 21, a width of 8. So it's not overly big, even though it's a large scale. And then I'm just having a look, see what's on this other side. Yeah. Oh, we do have some English on this side. Boats such as the Elidir, which have actually spelt it differently on the side of the box than on the top of the box. So on the side of the box, this is interesting. They've spelt it E-L-I-D-E-R, Elidir, but they've spelt it with an I on the front. Interesting. Began to travel the River Thames around the end of the 19th century. They feature a simple but efficient boiler system and were usually 20 to 40 foot long. This type of vessel and the Elidir itself can still be seen on the Thames today in perfect condition after 100 years of service. One of the problems that had to be solved by the boiler system was the maintenance of a stable pressure. This was achieved by cooling the boiler with water drawn from the river itself. Okay, so obviously whoever's got this boat, when they went to visit it to get dimensions and things, gave them a bit of back history. So let's have a look and see what we get in the box. Okay, so we're greeted by a big cardboard insert, which has got our wooden parts on, and well, it's got all of our little parts in. So let's have a look, see what we've got. I don't even know what that is. I don't know if we've got something missing there, because that bag has been opened. I bought this second hand, so it could be we've got something missing there. I don't know. Yeah, 2 wood blocks by the look of it. Interesting. We'll have a look at these in a minute. So let's just lift this out, see what else we get in the box. Looks like our wood blocks might be in the box. So we've got plan sheet, instruction sheet, another plan sheet, and another piece of paperwork. We'll have a look at that in a minute, along with a little brochure. And then we've got a little bag with parts. I'm guessing the brass tube is for the funnel. No idea what that is. Got our strip wood. Quite a bit of strip wood. Don't know if they're laser cut or not. We'll have a look at those in a minute, but there is some bulkheads at the back and a piece of chipboard for something. I don't know. And then we've got these wooden blocks. So this I purchased second hand. You never know when you purchase second hand what you're going to get. Let's start, I think, by looking at the instructions. That will be helpful. Right, let's have a look at our paperwork. So Constructo, I think, are a Spanish company, and this kit was originally released as the Louise, a Victorian steam launch, but I've no idea when this kit came out, but I know it's probably quite an old kit. And we've got a little brochure here with some of their other kits in there. Some of them look quite nice. Includes the River Queen, which would be something I might be interested in, and a couple of dioramas. So they have some interesting ideas. Enterprise there as well. So yeah, they have some interesting ideas and models. I've only ever had one other Constructo kit, and it was for my eldest daughter when she was little as a beginner's kit, and it was pretty rough around the edges. So what have we got here? Dear customer, we are anxious that the product you have in your hands should be of the highest quality. We will see. In response to requests from our clients, we are therefore including a second set of planking materials to improve the finish of the hull. So they've had some pretty rubbish feedback then. No, if you are going to use them, we recommend that you bear in mind that they are of a single layer, and so the colour combinations with the different types of wood must still be made in regard to the original strips. Right, okay. Okay. So don't know whether we've got extra material or they've swapped it, but yeah, okay. Then we've got the plan, which has got all the bulkhead parts on it, which gives us the numbers for the bulkheads. Then we've got the plan sheet. We'll have a look at this. So this looks like a single fold-out plan sheet for everything. Yeah, so this is how it used to be done in the olden days. Let's see if we can find the top. So yeah, so what you've got here is everything that you need plan-wise on a single sheet, which is massive. It's just plotted paper, it's not a particular size. So we've got the making of the skeleton here. We've got something, the instructions will tell us what to do, I guess. Everything's got a figure number, so that must relate to what's mentioned in the instructions. We've got a profile view here, with part numbers for all the different things, so that's quite useful. And then we've got top-down view, which is showing you the parts like the deck laid and things like that, positions of the steering wheel and things. And then you've got an outside plan view, which has got things like the flag on and what have you. It looks like it's probably to scale. Yeah, it says 1:26 scale, so this is all to exact scale, but I mean obviously that's not, but the main plan is. And then on this side of the sheet, it's all one sheet, that's just I can't get it all in camera at once. You've got construction of the display stand, which is different to what's depicted on the box, I think. You've got some tips there for bending planks, and it looks like you take the bulkheads out. That's interesting. And then making the frame, so it's all over the place. It's all over the place. So figure 15 is probably the first thing you're doing. Quite a lot of parts involved in the build-up of the boiler. So you've got this wooden centerpiece, and then you're going to put a piece around it, which you're then facing off. So quite a bit of work involved in this. Yeah. That'll be brass wire that we're bending and stuff like that. So plenty here to do. Okay. So the plan is clear and readable. We just need to be able to relate it to decent instructions. So this is our instruction pack. And there's at least 4 different languages on here, which means we ain't got a lot of instructions. But let's take a look. So that's Spanish. Right, there we got our English section. So we're starting off with, that's the end of the last section because that's still in Spanish. So it starts with the introduction. Then we've got assembly instructions. We recommend that a completely clear cellulose glue be used. All the sketches are scale 1:1, are life size, which is not true. Then we've got some notes, and then we've got more notes. So it's telling you step by step. So for example, glue strip number 112, insert into number 21. This strip forms the base on which the benches are glued. So it is telling you. So then it's broken down a little bit as well. So before gluing frames, so we're starting with the frames. Do not glue the deck until the end. Then it's starting to break out into different sub-assemblies. So side uprights and top bottom strips, the cabin fronts, the benches, the bench block or support, and so it goes on. And then at the end you have your part list, which looks quite extensive, but most of it is just strip wood. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's it. So you're reading an instruction, consulting the plan, getting the parts, fashioning the parts. It's a proper old school model kit. Let's have a look at the parts. So what we've got is a sheet of wood, and these aren't lasered. So all the kits I've reviewed on this channel have been lasered, and it's been a long time since I've looked at anything that isn't laser cut, to be honest, because laser cutting's been around for a little while now. But in the old days, what they used to do is print on the wood where you were to cut out. and that created all sorts of issues. And so a lot of experienced long in the tooth wooden modelers will talk about packing bulkheads up and things like that, and that's because they were cutting them out themselves and then they weren't quite aligned, so they'd have low spots, and so they had to build them up so that your strip wood would go against it. So when you fed the hull, they'd have some that weren't touching, so you'd have to build it up, and then others where you had to take back to make fit to size. It was hard work. This is sort of the next step on from printing on with blue ink. What we've got here is impressioned. So there has been some form of die cut that has cut so far in, but it's not gone all the way through. So but it's just made an impression. So you can follow that. You could probably follow it with a sharp knife actually. You wouldn't need to cut it. But yeah, the one thing that is obvious is the quality of the wood is pretty poor. This is plywood, and the grain is horrendous. Big grain, big open grain. Yeah, it's not very pretty to look at, and it's deep and pitted, just nasty. Yeah. I'd perhaps be tempted to replace it, to be honest. And then this is our bulkheads, and it looks like someone's had a go at starting to cut these through. I reckon they're nearly, yeah, someone's done a fairly decent job of cutting them through. This is plywood again, and you can see that whoever owned them has written the numbers on them, and even got one wrong because he seems to have rubbed it out. So yeah, again, all fairly crude, but none of this you'll see, unlike that. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, it's just a different way of doing it. And if you're new to building wooden model kits and you've perhaps gone and bought yourself one of the modern ones, this might be a bit of a surprise to you. But yeah. So I don't have any issues with that. I don't like the grain on that. I think that's pretty nasty. So we've got this chunk of chipboard. I think this is the display base. I think we put different materials around the edges to build up a display base, and so you choose which you want as the top. Intention is definitely the darker one. That doesn't look too bad, and as long as you can face it up nicely, do a nice job, that will work perfectly well as a display stand. So that's what the chipboard is. So there is a huge variety of strip wood in here, and actually the colours are all really nice. They're lovely warm colours, and it will look really nice when built up. But the quality of the materials is a bit suspect in places. So you have to be very careful that you're not going to get splinters with this, because it is pretty rough. I mean, here's one case in point. You've got really rough wood edges. I don't really want to touch it. And the strip of wood is bent and bowed. It's bent there, it's bent there in different directions, so you ain't going to get anything dead straight out of that. You know, it's the same here. It's really roughly sawn. There's no quality about this. Yeah, lots of different sizes, and then yeah. And we've got this pack. This is all quite thin. I guess this is for decking. I don't know whether there's enough to do the top as well, in which case that plywood might get covered, in which case it'll look better, and we won't worry about the big grain. This isn't too bad. This is quite nice, and it's thin, so it'll be easy to work with. So that's not so bad. We've got some larger strips here. What they're for, I'm not sure, but neither of them are straight. Then we've got some really thin ones. I think these are what we bend to form the lip at the front around the boiler. So that's really quite nice. We've got some cheap base wood. I'm guessing that won't be seen. Some of these are twisted, some of these strips, I mean, they're all deformed. We've got broken ones. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That could have come from storage, in fairness. I don't know how long this kit has been about. But yeah, this again is for facing up of parts. It's very, very thin veneer. So this is really for facing up stuff that you make. So taking big blocks of wood and covering them. So that's not so bad. This, I don't know. I don't know whether that's been machined. It looks like it's been machined with that cutout in. So I think this might be something to do with the keel, possibly. Not sure. And then in this bundle, yeah, this is your hull planking. So it's a single planked hull. They're much more difficult to do than double planked. So you've got a hardwood and you've got to bend it, which isn't easy, although the hull shape is fairly easy to do. But you can see it's a fairly decent thickness. So yeah, it will look nice when it's been cleaned up though. And then the final bundle, again, we've got problems with bits that are broken, and it's very, I'm not even undoing this one because it is so rough. I don't want to get splinters. So there is also knots and things in it, which is a big no-no for me. So all in all, material colours are lovely. Materials, actually, selection of wood is really good, but the process of producing the strips is pretty rough and ready. But it is a big old bundle of wood, a lot more than you get in some more modern kits these days, because everything is being made out of sticks. Right, let's have a look what we've got in this first bag here. So we've got a piece of plywood. I'm not quite sure what that's for. It's quite nicely presented, but I don't think that's going to be visible. But I don't know. We've got the brass rod, which will be used for the funnel, and to be honest, it's nice thick wall, so it's not cheap and nasty, so happy with that. We've got some brass tubes, so these will become the stanchions. They're all cut to length, so that saves you some work. They just need a bit of a polish up. A couple of small dowels, one for the flagpole and one for the little mast at the front. They are pretty roughly cut, and this one has got a flat edge, so they need sanding into shape. So pretty cheap materials again. And then a little short strip of something. Why they've not just, I don't know, but yeah, obviously it's a different diameter to everything else we've got, and we don't need a full length of it, so they didn't give us a full length of it. So it looks to me like, let me just another splinter of wood. Looks to me like when this kit was originally purchased, it came with this block of wood and this block of wood, which are depicted here. Yeah, and whoever bought it realised that that was fairly damaged, so they ordered replacements, and that came, and that's that and that, because we've definitely got two sets of this lot. So yeah, these will get covered or used for something, so I don't know what exactly, but yeah, pretty cheap and nasty materials. But I'm gonna put them, I don't know what that is, I don't think we need it, we're gonna get rid of it. So I'm gonna put that back in its little bag. So we've got here some little brass eye pins and rings. So we've already got them pre-formed, so that's nice. We've got a cloth flag, which looks okay, and then some acetate that's been rolled up for the windows, and a little bit of thread all in one bag. The thread looks a bit cheap and nasty, probably replace it. Then we've got some bits for our display stand. So the feet for the hull to sit on, again pretty rough and ready. Needs a lot of sorting out. I mean, the angle, I mean, look at how badly machined that is. In fact, let me get this out. It's going to show you it's that bad. Look at that. Look how bad that is. They should be exactly the same angle. They're not even the same height. It's just awful. And unfortunately, that is the reputation of Constructo cheap materials. So we've got some more solid wood blocks here. They're all shaped, or some of them are shaped so that you can face them up and make them look good. This is our boiler. So we've got some nice brass rings in there, some turned brass parts, cast metal parts for the top of the funnel. Looks okay. Has the holes in actually, so you can put the little support lines on if you want, which aren't depicted in the model. Then we've got some more pre-cut parts, solid wood, construction pins for doing our planking. Then we've got the cloth for the curtains and for the awning, which is quite nice. Brass plate, wire and strips, all different diameters, wires all wound up and shoved into there, so you have to straighten it. Then we've got some wooden parts, cast metal parts, which is our little anchor and steering wheel, which looks quite nice, just needs painting. And then a turned brass part for our lamp. The propeller, I can see, is pretty rough. It's a shame that's not brass. Yeah, it's white metal. Bit of a shame, but we've got the rudder there and the prow there pre-cut. And that's it. So there you have it, the Constructo 1:26 scale Elidir. What's my first impressions of that then? Right, okay, so packaging is okay. I think that the bundles were taped up originally. I did see some tape residue, and whoever bought them quite rightly took the tape off immediately and then put elastic bands around them. Personally, I wouldn't do elastic bands either. I'd just cut them free and wrap them separately in cling film or plastic wrap or something, so that they are well away from each other and don't get mixed up, but get rid of the tape. Elastic bands also deteriorate and can leave a witness as well. Box packaging is okay. Stuff in the bags, yeah, that's okay, and helps you identify the parts. So yeah, no real issues there. When we look at the instructions, the plans are clear. You've just got to understand what you're referencing, what you're looking at. So no massive issues with the plans, other than it would be handy to have them on smaller sheets. 3 or 4 smaller sheets would have been better than that one massive one, but I have limited space, that's why I mention that. The instruction manual itself, from the bits that I read, looked clear enough. Certainly seen worse, so yeah, okay, average. The wood itself, the actual choices of timbers they've used, I have no problems with. You've got some really nice colours. It looks really quite good. No issues with that at all. What I have a real issue with is some of the other materials are quite cheap, where they perhaps don't want to be. But it's the manufacture of the parts that's very rough and ready, and not just the sawing of the strip wood, but you know, you look at this picture, you've got these lovely brass, this lovely brass thing here, the lovely brass propeller. You know, both of those parts are white metal and look nothing like that. So you're going to have to paint them, and painted will never look as good as that. So, you know, I just think it's a bit rough and ready, pretty crude in places. There's a lot of work in here, a lot more than you might think, because even things like making those on the roof out of the wire that they've bent all out of shape, that'll be quite a job just making those and getting these right and so on. So there's quite a bit to be done. Yeah, the real thing here though is the subject matter. The subject matter is absolutely brilliant. One of these, really nice. You know, if someone could do one of these and do it to a modern standard, it would be breathtaking. But yeah, the subject matter is what sells it, because I wouldn't necessarily have bought this as a Constructo kit, because I know that the materials are going to be a bit rough and ready. It's their Achilles heel. The manufacturing process is a bit iffy from time to time. So they're a bit like Billings Boat Standard if you've not come across them before. But everything you've got in here, with a bit of effort, can look really nice when it's done. It is a proper model builder's model. It's not a jigsaw puzzle. You slot everything together and it looks amazing. You've got to work at it. You really have got to work at it. Every one of these bits of wood is going to need care and attention to look anywhere near as good as what you see here. So yeah, it's a proper builder's model, and that appeals to me. So yeah, I think this is an okay kit of a really gorgeous subject. And when I came to clear out my stash, this one didn't go anywhere. Not because it's a really nice kit that I can't wait to build, because the subject matter is something I really would like to build. It'll look great on my display shelf, that it really will. So yeah, very nice. And you could choose to paint it. If you look at these little steamboats chugging around Lake Windermere, they're often painted in Victorian colours, so whites and blacks and that sort of stuff, in high gloss, and they do look stunning. So you don't have to do it this way, and that if you're then painting, you can also fill, and that hides a lot of sins. So yeah, it will be not an easy build. It will be testing because of some of the more old-fashioned ways of working and the instructions that assume that you have some knowledge of building with wood. Definitely not a beginner's model, but nonetheless a really nice subject, and the kit is okay. It's just showing its age as much as anything, and then yeah, you should have a really nice model if you spend plenty of time on it. So there you go. If you come across one of these and you fancy building one, you now know what you get in the box. So thank you very much for joining me. I quite enjoyed going through that. So until the next time I see you, you enjoy your modelling. Bye for now.